Well, welcome to week number 8 of model building by Tom. At this point, let's take a quick little look and see what I've done and whatnot. The front bulkhead that goes immediately behind the pilot, I've gone ahead and painted the white area. I'm going to go ahead and take off the tape that was protecting the area immediately behind that'll house the computer area right here for the engineering. I don't know if you can tell or not, but contained within that computer area is a bunch of little slots for like air flow to go ahead and get in there. So I will go ahead and do the best that I can to go ahead and put in a little bit of black paint in there to kind of indicate where the air slots are. As you may recall, last time I was putting together the cockpit area. Now, all of this, it's going to be easier for me to go ahead and paint it black and then do the details that need to be the gray. So I'll go ahead and do that while I've got you here. Went ahead and been doing some puttying and sanding. As you may recall, on both the end caps, I need to go ahead and prime them to make sure that everything is good. Been working on the intake for the add-ons, and I'm not quite finished with them. It would have been nice if I would have had sanding sticks instead of these sponges, and I should say round sanding sticks, because I do of course have squadron putty files, what I refer to them, but sticks would have been better, nice round ones for getting in there. I did go ahead, and since the roof in there is white, I got it, had it primed and painted white. The back area where there would have been a seat, but there's actually a missile rack, which I believe I showed everyone in a previous email, or not email, previous video. It was painted, and I'm not necessarily worried about the fact that you can see the gray for in between each of the seats, because it's going to be so far in the back that you're not really going to notice it. Then I went ahead and put the initial white on the blades, because the top side is white, the bottom side is the dark gray. So we'll get another coat of paint. Also, painted the interior of Airwolf. Alright, hello Bailey. How's the Bailey boy? You can see him sticking his head up right there. Anyways, painted both port and starboard side interior white. Basically in preparation for going ahead and inserting the flight deck like that and whatnot. So, but at this point, again, I'm going to go ahead and paint the interior of the flight deck. I've actually been debating on whether to flock the flight deck, because as you may or may not recall, this Airwolf was supposed to at least look like it was an executive helicopter. You know, kind of the wolf in sheep's clothing, if you will. So I'm kind of debating on it, so that way, you know, when you look through the window type of thing, you'd say, oh, look, carpeting, and I decided I think I'm going to go ahead and go against that idea. and just go ahead and paint it black. But as I had mentioned before, the sticks will end up getting some gray on them. The hand control gets a partial gray, going from the right side back around what is referred to as the belly part of it, where the fingers kind of go across, then back to the side. And then the foot pedals, the photographs that I've seen had it was kind of like the painting of them, if you will, didn't include the top part of the contrasting work, I guess you could say, or part of the top of the pedal itself. Definitely the sides of the pedal were silver, but there's some contrasting detail, basically chevrons, when you look at this. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that the top of the chevrons are all painted with the silver. So with that said, that's kind of what we're doing right now. So let's go ahead and have a little bit of fun. First thing I need to do is I need to get some more paper towels. I'm out. Be right back. Alright, we're back. Reloaded the paper towel holder up there. You may recall me telling you a couple episodes ago, if you will. Can't believe this is becoming episodic. But I had mentioned that one of the best ways that I had for going ahead and kind of helping to measure out the paint and whatnot, instead of just pouring it, same thing with the thinner, is basically pipettes. And here I've got a package, I believe it's of 100. These are not quite the small little pipettes you had maybe growing up in chemistry lab. As you can see here, these are actually fairly large. They do have some measurements along the edge. Let me see if I can read them to you, because I don't usually use it. But it measures 0.5 at this level, 1 here, 1.5 here, I'm assuming probably 2 up here. And I don't recall what the measurements are in. And of course, it doesn't say anything on the container. But to be honest, I don't use that. You may recall, I use these little cups. So since I don't need much black for what I'm about to do, and I don't need much at all, I will go ahead and now I was going to say I could go ahead and do the wheels, but I'm not, because the only part of the wheels that's black is actually the tires. The rest of it is I'm assuming probably some type of aircraft aluminum. Probably the best bet. And once I get that, I'll go ahead and, like I said, paint the interior. Maybe do a little bit more filing here. But I'm going to kind of keep this one short. You guys have probably had enough of me recently, especially with last week. What was it, 3 episodes? Longest one being a little bit more than 30 minutes. That was a little extensive. So I want to keep these a little bit on the short side. So bear with me. Hopefully this one will be about 15 minutes, 20 at the max. Anyways, here I've got some Testors Gloss Black. For the interior, at least for the floorboard, gloss black would not be my way to normally go, but I want to bounce the light around as much as possible, so that's the only reason why I'm doing gloss instead of a matte. So bear with me on this one. Okay. Little paint containers open. And again, we're doing a 2-to-1 mixture of thinner to paint. I should say of paint to thinner. So I'm going to go ahead and yeah, see, that's a load. I'm going to take about a 0.25. And that's about best guess. So basically halfway up to the 0.5 mark. And when I look at that, yeah, that's just barely fills the bottom of the cup. Oh, and of course I would touch the top, the paint. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and grab right in that spot there. You might be wondering what that spot is. The spot that I've got the alligator clamp here on is part of the axle system, I guess you could say, for the front wheel. So when we put it in, this will actually just kind of drop down in. And then this will go right over where the alligator clamp is. And it'll just swing kind of loosely there. So, and that area is supposed to be contained in a little box area. That the best thing I've been able to find that matched the color was the zinc chromate. Kind of a standard color, I think, that was used in a lot of interiors during World War II. At least a lot of the planes that I painted, the interiors called for the zinc chromate. Specifically, I can remember a P-51 Mustang that I painted called for it. So, anyways, and one good thing about these little guys, because they're inexpensive and whatnot, you know, you're not necessarily worried about saving them. You're okay, baby boy. Alright. One of the things I do like to make sure I do is to always wipe off the top. Helps to prevent paint sticking it. So that way when I open it next time, unless I really go ahead and clamp down on it really tight, it should be okay. You might remember this. Guess what, people? It didn't go all over the place. Okay. Now to go ahead and clean it off. One of the things I forgot to mention is that if I get to the point where I thin out an entire bottle worth of paint, like when I did the interior white, I had about a third of a bottle of white paint left. So what I normally do when I go ahead and thin out an entire bottle, or what's left of an entire bottle, is I'll go ahead and put a dollop, if you will, of the thinned out paint on the top of the cap. So that tells me that it's been thinned out. And also, I'm sure you can hear that. That helps tell me that it's also been thinned out. Which, that sound was a partial clue the other day when I went to do the primer, and, well, we all kind of know what happened. Even though I did fast forward over it, it went all over the place. Anyways, so when I did the white, I cleaned the airbrush, of course, afterwards. I'm not going to go ahead and try to paint the exterior of Airwolf right now, or any of the other exterior parts. Right now this is just interior, so and since I don't need much, I'm not doing much. Yeah, I barely got anything in the bottom of that cup. Okay. So, okay, everything's there. One thing I do need to do is, even though the compressor's on, set this for about 20 psi. Seem to recall this particular one is good for between 20 to 30 psi. So, anywho's, here we go, everyone. Alright, that looks good. But no. My glasses. I can't see without my glasses. Alright. Checking to make sure there's paint over everything there. Primer seems to have done its job. And there seems to be paint over everything there. Alright, turn off the compressor. I'm satisfied with the way this turned out. Looks like a nice good coating, not overly thick. One of the good things about airbrushing, stuff tends to dry quickly, because you don't want to go ahead and place it down in, one big massive glop, if you will. You want to go ahead and be able to have some overlap, take your time with it. But one good thing, like I said, with airbrushing, is that it does dry quickly. Although I can tell it's still wet, you can certainly go ahead and, like I was saying, very carefully go ahead and put overlapping coats on it. I try to go ahead, when I paint mine, start about 1/2 to 2/3 off the object that I'm painting, then bring it 1/3 down, bring it another third, and another third down with each pass. And when I say a third, I mean a third of the pattern of the airbrush spray. So if I've got a spray like that, I'm only going to go ahead for the first pass, do that top part there, then that part, and then that part, then keep moving the airbrush up or down depending on the direction I'm going, to help get additional coverage and whatnot on it. But each pass is a small amount that goes down, and each subsequent puts another little layer on it. So it gets about, I'm going to say 2 to 3 layers on it by the time I'm finished with the first entire pass over the piece in question. So again, I'm happy with this. I'm going to let it dry. Then I'm going to go back in and I'm going to put in the gray details. And I need to refer to some beauty shots of the interior to go ahead and make sure, specifically on the collector, because I made mention that there's a dial piece over on the pilot side that you don't see at all in the show, but it is there. And of course, as I told you, there's gray on the hand grip, and also the stick itself area is supposed to be gray. And I may go ahead and do have some more details in there that, you know, make them gray, so that way it kind of sticks out a little bit more inside the ship. Of course, I still have the seats to go ahead and do. And install them. And then, like I said before, you know, we've got the white piece here. It'll go in there. So kind of like that. Trying not to get it to stick, but anyways, kind of get the idea. So, with that, I will leave you all to it. I've still got some more standing. Still got some more sanding to do. But you may recall, speaking of sanding, that one back piece here, that tire area, still kind of working on it a little bit. Trying to get it down as smooth as possible. And it's getting there, slowly but surely. And if you have a Harbor Freight in your area, they've got some pretty good sales right now. My compressor, which I bought for, what was it, $49, which normally sells for $59, yeah, it's on sale this week for $39. Had to go in there, weird as it might seem. Had to buy myself a pop rivet gun. Why, you might ask? Because someone went ahead and parallel parked right in front of my car. Apparently just tagged my bumper just a little bit, and when they went to pull forward, it popped my license plate frame off. And guess what holds it on? Some plastic rivets. Yeah. Anyways, so got a good deal on that. I was very happy with the sale. Could have bought a cheap one for, what, $4? I picked up one that actually included a set of pop rivets as well. And it was $7. I can't complain about the price. So, everyone have a good day. Have a good weekend. I may show more. May shoot some more tomorrow. Perhaps even showing me laying down some gray paint. Let's face it. When the paint starts going down, the model starts coming more and more alive. So, I will talk with everyone later. Happy modeling, everyone. Good day. Bye.